and has an ample supply
of... A white piece of flesh that isn't sunburned? What does that mean?
Well, I meant on his face.
I've never heard it expressed quite that way.
I meant on
Doesn't he have any other white flesh besides that?
Well,
let's discuss your problem. I'm warming up for the Jack Paggio.
Some of them do. You have to look a little harder.
Have you ever been out with a married man?
That's not a very nice question. One time I
didn't say it was a very nice question. I was just asking you, that's all. It's just curious, that's all.
But it was an accident.
Well, it was an accident?
Yes.
What do you mean? He had the ring on?
Well, no, he didn't, but I found out about it and I was quite furious.
How'd you find out?
Somebody told me.
His wife? Listen, a single man can't afford to make passes. Remember that. It's too dangerous. If he makes passes, he's liable to wind up getting married. Isn't this true, Junior?
Well, I don't think so. I think that if a man stays on his toes, he can stay single all his life.
If he stays on his toes, yes. But invariably, they wind up on their heels. Well, you have a career, and your husband, Harry James, has a career. He blows a trumpet, doesn't he? Would you say marriage can be successful under these conditions, with your husband blowing his horn all the time?
That's not my husband, that's Betty Grayble's husband.
Oh,
Just
really?
because I'm looking rather fat tonight, you mustn't think I'm Betty Grayble.
Now, this is the real Pamela that I always knew. Well, I hope that's the... no, well, never mind.
I put it in.
Did you work before you became Miss England? I mean, what kind of jobs did you have?
Oh, well, I had so many, but amongst them, I was a dispenser in a homeopathic pharmacy.
What is that?
Well...
Is that like Christian Science?
No, not quite. See, if you had TB...
Yeah.
I would cure you by going to the laboratory and getting a little TB germ.
Going where?
Laboratory.
Laboratory? What's a laboratory?
Laboratory. You know?
Oh, you mean the laboratory, huh?
That would sound very rude in England.
Yes, well, it does here sometimes, too. Well, you go to the
laboratory. I'd go to the laboratory, and I'd get a little TB germ, which has been medicated, and I would come and I would dose you with it.
You would what?
Dose you with it.
Dose me with it? How would you do that?
Well,
I'd how would you infect me with this thing? Could you do it in some pleasant way, like kissing me?
Oh, no. You'd have to take it, you know,
intravenously?
Or in the arm or something.
Well, I've been doing that for years. Well, okay, now I've got TB. Now what happens? I go to Saranac, I suppose. I was going to have my dog fixed, but they said it wasn't practical. Now you can take that out.
Can I say something?
I always like to leave something that they can remove. One week it's going to be me. Will you shut up while
Well, I enjoyed being here with you.
I have to tell you a story also about a colored preacher who, and this was his big day, and he thought he was going to get a big collection. That was for Christmas, you know.
Yeah.
And when he got the plate back, there was hardly anything in this thing, hardly any money at all. And as he was up in the pulpit there, and as he started to leave, he says, now, congregation, he says, I'm going to leave now. And I looked at that collection plate, and there was very little in there. It was mostly very small change buttons. And I'm going to pass out of the church now. And as I pass down the aisle, you will notice that there's a piece of mistletoe hanging from the bottom of my coat.
I heard...
You can use that, Doc, if you want.
I'm afraid I'm afraid that I can't use that. I heard Will Rogers say once that a certain man's mind was like a racehorse. Ran best on a dirt track.
Gravy is what she had with her husband the night he met her. Isn't that true, on the steak?
No, we didn't have any gravy.
You didn't?
No, mushrooms.
You went to a mushroom right after that? That's what they call a motel, you know. Mushrooms. What did people do before there were motels? Well, that's a recent development in the last 20 years or so. Ida, do you have any bad habits, or are all these bad habits your husband's?
Lord, yes, I've got bad habits. Everything I do is a bad habit. How do you think I got in this shape from being a bad habit?
But you love your husband, huh?
Yeah, I love every man. I'm crazy about men, honey. I think you're about the prettiest man I ever seen. I never did look you right square in the eye before. I'm telling the truth. I don't care if they do laugh.
You're going to win a lot of money here tonight. Are you digging a deep hole in your backyard or anything?
He's talking to you,
Mr.
Charlie.
McLaughlin.
Oh. Now, what'll happen when it gets 50 below on Earth? Will there be a run on long underwear?
Well, I'm sure they'll be able to sell every pair they have in stock. But primarily, the big objective, Groucho, will be to migrate the people by space vehicle to other planets that have more desirable temperatures.
You're going to have to put your shoes on again, you know.
It is getting deep, ain't it?
Yeah.